Welcome, everyone. Today I'm going to answer comments and questions and just talk business. It's been 2 weeks already. Well, I'm going to be busy tomorrow. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks, but had lots of snow the past weekend, which meant lots of work, making sure employees could get to work and things like that. So I wasn't able to stream or talk business. So I'm going to fit that in tonight, being a Saturday night, because I'm that much of a nerd, and I'm having fun with this. So tonight we're testing streaming in 4K. One of the reasons I have this channel is to test things, so we're doing that. Hopefully it's geeked out once. Hopefully it won't. If it does, maybe that'll be the end of it. But we're pushing things to the max. So let's see here. I'm going to just basically go through some comments. I thought, some were kind of funny and learning about you guys. So here we're in the back end of analytics, and the first one I was going to chime in on is you could save 50 to 55 minutes every 2 weeks by shaving your head instead of going to get a haircut. I did that for 8 years, and it legit was that. It was money and time. And I've considered going back to it. Like with COVID, we had to shave, cut my hair and that kind of stuff. Couldn't go to get a haircut. And yes, right now it takes me, it's a 35-minute drive to go to where I get a haircut, which is near the store. My retail store, and then you're there for 30 minutes and it's 35 minutes back. And my wife can cut my hair, and you just set, long time. I just shave my head once a month or something like that, and it would save time and money. So, when I say I'm fanatical about valuing my time and working as much as I can, jokes aside, like I do that. So, yeah. All right. Today I wanted to go over, I think it's actually the poll I put up. So do you own a business, or are you going to start one? 63% of you, no shocker, own a business or want to start one, and 37 don't. That's a little bit surprising of like, oh, well, I guess it's, maybe you're a fan from my YouTube channel, or you're just interested in hear about business, which I am as well. So, but what I did was I sorted by newest first. So we'll go all the way to the bottom. And what I want is to kind of establish a thing here. Is when I ask for feedback like this, I actually want to utilize it. So kind of every live stream, I'm going to put a pinned comment that says like, what do you want to talk about next week? And then if you guys are upvoting and things like that, there's a higher chance we will talk about it. And so I thought lead by example and start answering questions that were actually asked, or not necessarily questions. Some are just topics I want to see discussed. And so I'll try not to dodge too many of them. All right, how do I start? Okay, here we go. Maybe like how you start with, why can I not read today? Maybe like how you set up with an accountant and they do for a new business. So when I hire pretty much all the professionals, is that a true statement? All professionals in my company, all of them have been people that I already know, usually customers or things like that. And the reason being is I can see, are they already successful in a role they're in? If that is true, then I know, like if they're my customer and they're buying from me, and that's fine, it's great, right? But I happen to already know a little bit about them. You work here, you're doing this. How high in the chain of command are you? How successful are you? And then I basically ask them if they'd be interested in doing that for me instead. And usually it comes with a lot of hesitation because people that I offer this to, maybe they were working at Amazon, or maybe they're working at aerospace companies and things like that, right? Or I don't want to call any companies out, but like big medical companies and that kind of stuff, right? So they've got high-paying jobs, great benefits and all that, and then you've got kind of me being a smaller business coming across going, hey, I will beat their pay and offer better benefits. But usually it's the families that balk at it going, aquarium co-op, it's a fish store. There's no way you're going to leave this big corporate world for this. And everyone, to the best of my knowledge, that has made that leap has never regretted it. But that's how I came up with my accountant. And we run a few. So there's an in-house bookkeeper / accountant, right? And then we also have payroll services. And then we also have basically a CPA that will do taxes, right? And so each one of those could do any of those entities, but I like to run a multi-check system so that if the in-house bookkeeper gets a number and someone else goes, hey, I don't think that number is right, they can now reconcile. And by the time you're paying taxes, you now have had 3 different people look at it. You've got like your in-house bookkeeper / accountant, you've got payroll, right? And then you've got tax person. And if all those numbers line up by the time you're submitting to the IRS, the likelihood in which a mistake was made is very unlikely. And we catch things all the time, different like insurance issues and things like that, where things are getting billed out incorrectly. And so that's how I go about it. I'm sure there's, put an ad on Indeed and hire someone, but how do I know they're going to mesh with my team and my company? And yes, obviously you interview the people afterwards, but you kind of already know. You wouldn't have reached out to them. And, like Randy, my director of operations, I was thinking about hiring him for 6 or 8 months. And then one day I decided, like, if I don't do it today, it's never going to happen. Like, I just need to reach out to him and go, hey, do you want to leave the company you're at? I'll pay you more than what you make. And it was a huge leap of faith for us at the time. It was a corporate salary. He's got, his master's in supply chain management, right? And taking that away from a big company is not cheap, but that set the groundwork for what we were able to do going forward. So, all right. I'm a manager. I've owned a business for 4 years that I closed. Thinking about it, last week only, I took valuable lessons from you and are already showing good changes in the business that I manage. Analytics, customers are king, are 2 topics I appreciated. Yeah, I'm trying to not just talk about fish all the time. Like, yes, that's my world, but, whether the bathroom's clean at a department store, a restaurant, a fish store, it's all the same. Like, the customer still matters, presentation still matters, money in, money going out still matters. There's a lot of things that matter. And yes, we can talk about developing a product and like, okay, we developed, this product here. And there is some use to that. Like, okay, well, how do you find suppliers? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I can still offer a lot of info without saying like, well, we buy it from here. Please, competitors, go buy it and undercut us type of deal. So I try to bring the information to you guys that will be applicable. And I'm glad to see that even at a managerial role, it's useful, because it really is useful. And I did a poll on my other YouTube channel kind of asking what people found most important so that other businesses in my sector could clue in. Like, they would basically say like, well, we need good prices, we need great personnel, and we need the best product. And we all know in business, having all of that is, you can't have the best personnel and the best product, right? And the best prices. Like, it just is never going to happen. There's always going to be someone that can come in with either they're smarter or they're lower priced or the product's better. You can't have the trifecta. It's really hard to do. Even, you start looking at like Apple, we talk about them a lot, right? You still have Samsung on their heels. You've got, other companies on their heels, and some would argue some are better, some are not. And I think it's, you can't have it all. You can get 2 out of 3. Doing a live stream or video on how to set up a business and how to manage employees. So those are 2, like, obviously ginormous topics. Managing employees is a huge thing where people make careers out of it. Setting up a business, same thing. And so I think some other people are asking about how do you set up LLCs and what are the first steps and when you want to get into business. And we'll touch on that today for sure. But I'm sure that could be, if people upvote that kind of stuff in the future and we really want to talk about employee management strategies and things like that, we can do that. I'm definitely not the best at any of these categories. I'm kind of a generalist of like, yes, I've had to wear all of the hats in my career. Some things I'm very good at. Like, I'm really good at just sitting here and working with my head down nonstop. I'm really bad at giving praise. I can point out exactly what's wrong really quickly. And then my form of praise is like, here's more money. Here's, good healthcare and all of that, which is not a good quality to have, by the way. But my brain naturally tends towards, great, we solved that problem. What's the next one? Let's keep moving on to the next problem, because my day never ends with problems. And so I'm just going, great, move on. And I don't bask in the victory like for more than about 4 seconds. So, and a lot of people really need that feedback loop and that victory lap, if you will. And I don't even like register that it exists. So too often I have to tell other managers and stuff in my company, like, you need to be the person that's reassuring people, victory lap. Like, every day my life is just on fire, you know? So like today or yesterday, my furnace broke at the new house, the 4th time it's broken, and it's a brand new furnace. My chimney's still leaking. Things are always going wrong with so many buildings and so many companies kind of working at the same time. Day before, Jimmy's power supply goes down, so therefore we got people waiting to get video to edit it. And so my brain naturally goes, great, fire put out. By the way, the street or the house across the street's on fire. I'm walking over there to start on that one next. And it just keeps going like that, and it'll never stop. But a lot of my employees, they will see, like, they live in this house, right? And like, okay, you put that house on fire. Let's all celebrate. My house is on fire. Meanwhile, I know, well, your coworker's house is on fire now, and this coworker's house is on fire. And, you know, so I keep moving. All right. A video on the balances between life, energy, profit, and family. Well, I don't think I'm very good at that balance. I, as I've said, skew very hard towards like profit, so like that business, right? Energy, I do value that quite a bit, getting at least 8 hours of sleep. I look a little run down right now, and the reason I look run down is the past couple of days I've had to get up and be at work by 9 a.m. And now most people would say like, I have to be at work at 6 a.m. I also stay up till 1 or 2 a.m. every day. So that what that does is that starts cutting into my sleep, and a few days in a row of only getting like 6 hours will cut into my sharpness and just, you know, the bags under my eyes. And, you know, I don't work any less. It's just it changes my work hours. So like today, for instance, normally I would start working, we've seen the schedule kind of at 10:30, eating breakfast and all that. I was already on site with contractors working today at 10:30, and I just got back, you know, 40 minutes ago or something. So kind of put in a whole day. Now I'm going to do this live stream, and then once I'm done with the live stream, I'll actually work on the business again. So it's kind of a weird facet. So I don't really have a good answer for how do you balance between family and profit. In my opinion, there is no time for family. And what I mean by that is we've got so many people on the planet. We have so many people in so many verticals that the competition is fierce, right? And so, like in my area, let's say I think there's 7 or 8 mom and pop fish stores, right? If I spend time with the family, they can be getting ahead. And that's the way I look at it. And you do get ahead. That's how I got ahead of them. And so I really do look at it like, you know, I do set some time aside, but I don't like watching movies or really spending time that's not productive time. Like if we're going to go to a dinner and a movie and that's an event, that's a thing. But like just sitting in front of the TV, not so good. Like I'll be on a laptop working the whole time and I can listen to something and it's like quasi family time. But you know, it's very stressful, I would say, on my family. Like I spent time with my family yesterday, but my schedule, as we've shown previously, is very tight. So if things start missing schedules, other things start getting affected. And, you know, one of them being, I had fully intended to do this live stream last night, but being that I didn't get back home till about 9:30, then I was thinking it's already after midnight in the East Coast, and so I'll try to do it. I'll do it Sunday, right? But my schedule changed on Sunday. I'm actually going to be working on the new studio, and so then it became have to do it Saturday night, even though I had another set of plans. So for me, I find it easiest on me, not my wife or my dogs or the rest of my family. Easiest on me if I just basically forego family time, but when they ask, make the time, right? So my philosophy is I've got a schedule. If we want to do anything, just put it on the schedule. I live and die by my schedule. So If we want to go to the movies in 2 days, put it on the schedule. If, oh, we're already booked out, we got to book sooner, right? And obviously, if I had kids, or it's always Wednesday's date night, and we didn't have COVID, like you book that in, right? But I do believe that there's a lot of people that use the family thing, like, oh, I need time off, and that's fine. Everyone can have time off, but if you're doing that day in and day out every week, like, oh, I just, if you're 9 to 5, then you shut off because you're spending time with the family each night. That's fine, so long as you're in a business that allows you that. And what I mean by that is, if you have a competitor that's going as hard as they can, they're just gonna outwork you unless you can outsmart them. And as I've said in previous streams, I don't believe it's very easy to outsmart people anymore with how easy analytics are to get a hold of. And analytics start steering the ship. We basically can use a robot to make educated decisions for us anymore. So it wasn't like, well, I outsmarted everybody, so therefore I'm taking the week off. It's, you have to be outsmarting people and working hard. If you're not doing that, you're just falling behind. And there's always going to be businesses, and some of them are very different. I'm glad to see someone actually does own a lawn business, but that business, you might be able to back off a little bit because it's much harder for someone to come and steal your customer. Whereas an online business like mine, the minute I'm sold out of a thing, someone's just going to buy it from Amazon or someone else, right? So there's not the downtime where it's like, oh, someone didn't show up to mow my lawn, but they came the next day. Oh, that's fine, right? But oh, I don't have the product, but it came in tomorrow. I don't get the sale anymore. So we're 24 hours every day, and that's one of the benefits and the downfalls of an online business. Yeah, Nicole says it's important. If it's important, it needs to be on the calendar. Yeah. Yep. It was a lot easier once I moved to getting everyone around me, get me to put it on a calendar. And, if you need 4 days in a row, great, let's put it on the calendar. If you get everyone doing that, it's manageable because you can schedule out other things around it. You can plan how you're going to get through it. So yeah, that's what's worked for me. And, it's probably not my wife's favorite way to do it, but it allows the business to continue to thrive. And we've tried a lot of other strategies too in the past, and it's going on vacation is very stressful for me because the fires don't stop, so now I'm just like, oh, that's on fire and I'm in Hawaii. I can't put that fire out right now. Now I'm just going to worry about, is it burning down the whole city? That's all I do. So next up, ichthyology guy. Normally I would just ban someone for being political because being political where you're not talking about politics, I think, is not very good. But what I wanted to bring up is, good luck starting a business during the Biden administration. You're gonna need it. Basically, if you're dumb enough to believe that politics has anything to do with business, that's why you're not thriving. Like, politics change, rules change all the time. If we think about owning a business like a game, right? And the last 4 years, all of a sudden I had a tariff where not all, but almost all the products in my businesses cost 25% more. Someone makes a decision, everything costs 25% more. That's a thing, right? Now, if that goes away, that's a different thing. Then you have someone makes a decision, your business gets to stay open, yours doesn't get to stay open, you get this much capacity. All of those things could happen with anyone in power or not. And if you've been through enough cycles, enough not depression, but downturns in the economy, uplifts in the economy, stimulus packages, like we've gotten stimulus packages in the last year, right? I remember when we gave stimulus packages, 10 years ago when everyone got $600? I know what people did. They bought aquariums, they buy things, right? And so you can prepare. And so I don't believe it's any harder or easier no matter who is president or what law is in effect, because we all have to play by the same rules. You could bring up corner cases of like, well, this law affects bigger business more positively than smaller business. you can do all of those things, but those all end up being excuses. You know, when I first started my business, I didn't know how I was going to beat Amazon. You know how you learn to beat Amazon? You start trying to beat Amazon. We ship, in my opinion, faster. We have tighter quality control, right? We ship live goods. They don't ship. We attack them. Not that we're attacking them, but we try to make headway anywhere we know they're losing ground so that we can continue to move forward. Calendar app recommendation. I don't like a physical calendar. I have to have it so that, you know, if it's not on my phone, it doesn't exist. And so I just use Google Calendar. I know people that use like Outlook. I know, you know, you pick a flavor that you like. I like Google Calendar because it's free. It's a lot of things will integrate with it. Not that I use any of those integrations. I like the fact that Google Meets can go through there real easy. So yeah, I like Google Calendar. Yeah, there you go. My business is in the medical device space. Rules change all the time. Yeah, I used to work in a medical field, and you know, we would get where, like, I remember one of them was I have to check people's oxygen concentrators, right? And we would have to do that once every 3 months. And then Medicare changed, and now it had to be done every single month. And the funny part is, old people hate when you come to their house. They do not want to be bugged once a month. But if we didn't check it, then the company didn't get paid, right? And the same thing for a lot of other stuff. And it would come and go. Things would change. And business, you adapt. One day you've got a 25% tariff. The next day you don't. The next day you've got another thing. And the next day your building flooded. The next day this thing happens, right? You know, there's so many things that can happen. Just things that, you know, there was rioting, right? We had to close down the store. We have to do this. We have to do that. There's always going to be things. And, you know, you can claim one's better than another, but the reality is when you tally up everything, it's like, oh yeah, everything is doing this all the time. This is what politics does. And rarely is it really swinging things. It's not just like, well, one thing got changed and everyone went out of business and things like that. I mean, you've got the stock market stuff doing crazy stuff right now. It's just another set of things going on that can distract you or give you, you know, if I was to say like, oh, I'd be doing so much better right now if Corey was president, and then it's an excuse for, sure, but I'm not president, and everyone else, all my competitors are living with the same rules. And so, you know, and I realize in some ultra big business, it's not always the same, but the reality is we're not going to change that in the next meaningful amount of time, right? So like in my lifetime, maybe, but in the next 10 years, I highly doubt any radical change is going to happen. Not that I wouldn't want to see something happen or anything like that, but, you know, focus on what are you going to do this month for your company and move keep stumbling forward, right? Keep stumbling forward while you can instead of just stopping and going, well, this is the point, I give up. All right. My dad owns a gift citrus fruit shipping business that I help manage. I find your business content really helpful on the marketing side of things. That's a business that I don't think anyone thinks about, you know, and I always tell people this of like, you know, someone out there's making $1 million cleaning out porta potties. Someone's making some good money. I mean, I don't know if it's good money, but someone's making money with a gift citrus fruit shipping business. On my idea list of companies to start, would have never even thought of it. So, yeah, there's a lot when you know, well, probably the next one. The Duke says, I want to start a business, even if it just ends up being a small amount of additional income, but I'm continually faced with paralysis by analysis and don't end up taking forward steps towards any ideas. Yeah, a lot of people will struggle with what idea to even do. You know, I've failed businesses before. I ran a computer repair business that I was getting free rent on the space, and I was young enough, and I just played World of Warcraft and didn't take it seriously, and I failed. And I didn't lose money. It's not like I was like, I left negative $5,000. I just left with working for 6 months to a year and didn't build any net worth and didn't really do anything with my life other than play video games. But I did learn things. That's the thing. So what I wanted to bring up there is, if you try something and it fails, or you just, let's say you start a business and you're like, I'm gonna sell used corn dog sticks, right? I'm gonna clean them up, sell them in bulk on eBay. You're gonna learn, even if you don't really make any money, you're gonna learn, like I watched someone try their first Facebook ad, right? And they're like, wow, I put money in and that didn't do anything. It's like, yeah, it's a giant scam, by the way. It's a horrible scam. That's one thing I was going to try to get ready for last night, actually, or tomorrow. There is I found a study in a group that I'm in, and they shared it because they bought and sold the business, right? And they made like $1 million or something, whatever, right? But they broke down the revenue streams, and the revenue streams was the only advertising they're doing is Facebook ads. And I want to say, like, they sold $5 million worth of their product, but 3.5 million of it went to Facebook ads. So when you start doing that math, right, you start thinking about it, you're like, okay, so how cheap does your product have to be, and how much is shipping to make any money after that? Like, I am flabbergasted at the amount of money being spent on paid advertisements. In fact, I ran into one. Let me see if I can. Let me go to the big screen here and see if I can pull it up without, because I don't know the exact web address. Yeah, right here. No, this ain't it. This gotta be this guy. Yeah, this looks super. No, it's not even that. Gosh darn it. Here's how you know when you really got to work on SEO and everything. When I know what I'm trying to find and I can't find it. It was a hat. So let me see, Mammoth big head hats. Yeah, Mammoth headwear. Okay. So Mammoth hats already exist. There's a bunch of Mammoth stuff. Like, you already failed your branding, guy. But anyway, let me show you guys. So this popped up on my Facebook because Facebook tracks everything you do, right? Like, I probably in Messenger told someone I have a giant head, because I do have a giant head. It's 7 3/4, right? Which is larger than most stores carry. And so eventually it hits me with Facebook advertising, right? And so I was like, all right, a giant hat. Like, oh, it's kind of a cool logo. I was like, that's kind of cool. I could wear a Mammoth hat thing. That's all right. And then I click in. And by the way, this is the worst website, by the way. Like, look at this. Anyway, we scroll down, and a blank hat is $45. And the one with the logo is $50. And I just was like, $50 for a hat? Who's buying this? So then I start reading the Facebook comments, and everyone's just going, why are your hats so expensive? And he kept replying to each person going, Facebook ads are costing me a lot of money. Facebook ads are costing me a lot of money. And it's like, you have to realize that this broken strategy of inflate the cost, like, you guys have probably run into it, or at least maybe I do, because sweatpants, t-shirts, any kind of clothing where it's like, this is the best one. It's $100, right? They run it on the model of, okay, we'll spend $40 in advertising on Facebook. It'll cost us up to $10 to get that good and ship it. And then, right, we also got a discount like 30 or 40%. So it's like, really, you listed at 100, it's actually 60, you're paying 40 in Facebook ads, and then $10, right? $10 is left at the profit. So, but it's a giant, great scam, because Facebook is making a ridiculous amount of money on this. Like, when you think about it, right? In that model, $100 product, like this Mammoth hat, right? We're gonna go to $50 product, right? I'm sure it's free shipping. If it's not, that's just another killer. But it's got to be free shipping. So you got $50, right? The hat itself, I get hats made. A hat like that's embroidered is probably legit like 16 to 18 bucks to have made, right? So that means you're going to have roughly about 30 bucks left. Now, if he spends 20 bucks on Facebook advertising, he's going to make 10, right? But then on that 10, he's got to eat the credit card fee, right? And he's got to ship it. So he might make like $6. But the disparity here that I'm trying to point out is that Facebook will have made $20 off selling the advertisement because he didn't have a social media and all that. And he'll make $6 for each hat being sold, right? And then you got to deal with fraud cases and lost shipments and all of that. So the business model from Facebook is kind of genius. And that's why I advocate for people to get your own social media and stuff going, because it is so expensive. You know, to buy 3 million views like we're getting on YouTube is so expensive that it's really hard for people to compete. And it's just... it's not good. Are Google ads any better? Not really. No. You know, and the thing is, you can buy ads really cheap. Like we're buying some right now, in fact. And we get them down to less than a penny, right? The problem is the conversion rate is so low. Like, and maybe one day I'll bring up some of our old campaigns back when we went through like four Facebook ads experts. You know, everyone's like, you're not doing any, like we don't do any Facebook ads and stuff like that. And companies are blown, like their mind's blown, like, wait, you're not paying for any of the advertising? We could quadruple your business overnight. And then eventually, like one of them was someone I knew. Another one was a team that I trust because I trust them with some other stuff. And then like another one. And each time, now I always tell them, I go, I don't think you're going to be able to do it. And they're like, oh, we've always been able to do it. And it's like, yeah, I know, but you don't work with influencers. Like I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work. And we always go and I'll put, you know, maybe you're $60,000, $70,000 into it. And then you're looking at the ROI and you're like, see, we're not making money. Like it took you $37 to sell $26 worth of aquarium stuff. You know, and like, well, you just got to let the algorithm will figure it out. We'll keep tweaking, right? Change copy. We'll keep doing things. It's like, we're 8 months into this. You're not making us any money. Oh, we just got to find the right thing. And it's like, yeah, but we've done this before and it doesn't work. And I think, you know, in this model, if I was selling the mammoth hat, the problem is I can sell the hat at $25 or $30, right? So I'm already $20 cheaper than this guy. And my advertising is not even, is it free? Because YouTube will pay me, right? So technically, like when someone watches this later, you know, for each view, I'm going to get like, you know, a half of a penny, right? Whereas if I'm getting a half a penny for you guys to watch this live stream, someone else that doesn't have the following has to pay a penny. So the difference is a penny and a half. And it doesn't seem like a lot until you really start scaling it out. And that's what companies do when you're spending $3.5 million a year getting people to buy your product. It's a crazy thing. And in the meanwhile, they never converted people to actually following their brand and all of that. It's always this crazy stuff of like, we're selling water bottles. They're not a brand. They're just selling a product. And that's where they really run into problems. Flynn says, my Facebook ad ended up costing $15 and reached 13,808 people, but only had 6 clicks. Out of those, 0 calls. Yeah, that's... So part of that would be Facebook's, how do they attribute a conversion and things like that, right? So 6 clicks, probably mostly legit, but let's say like one of them was an accident. Like they were just trying to get out of your crap and accidentally clicked on it, right? Or it's a bot, or it was a kid, you know, like a little kid, whatever. So you probably got 5. So you paid $3 per lead, right? But if we follow traditional, you know, internet conversion rate, you basically need, for every 100 clicks, you might get 3 that were serious, right? So you paid $15 for 6. Do that math, and it's like, wow, is it worth the $80 to bring on a new client? For your business, being an aquarium service business, it probably is, right? Long term, on big budget with the ROI, probably would do it. But you also got to know how strong are you at closing, right? So you finally got 6 solid customers are really close. How much are you actually going to be able to close that deal, get them to buy, lock them in, get your money back? And even then, when you get your money back, you got to get 2 or 3 services out of them before you're like, okay, now I'm positive. That's why you'll read so much about lifetime customer value. You know, if your customer on average will spend $300 with you, you can spend $100 trying to find a new customer, and then you sell $300 of the product. If it costs you 50%, you still made $50 at the end of all that, but then you got to factor in shipping and fees and employees and things like that. But that's the game. The game is when you don't have any sales, you're almost willing to pay anything, and in your mind, you're going, as long as I'm not losing money, eventually we'll figure out how to make money. And so many companies don't ever learn how to make money. That's one of the biggest problems. All right, let me find those comments again. All right, so Tampa Tom Fishing. Tom's Lawn Care, your lawn's new best friend. I love the lawn care business. I see so many ways. And what I like about it is it's a business I'm not in. It's in, what do they call it, like the everyman business. Everyone could kind of mow a lawn. Everyone could kind of clean out gutters. You could, plow driveways when it snows. You could do dump runs. And that's what I love about that business is you get in, right? So now you're coming to my house, you're mowing my lawn, you're charging me 40 or 50 bucks, whatever it is. And then one day you're like, you got dogs. I clean up dog poop. You know, while I'm here for another 20 bucks, I'll clean up that dog poop. Meanwhile, you're thinking, hey, I don't have to step in that dog poop when I mow. So now you're getting 70 bucks. And then someday you see like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff over there. Like, oh, look at all these tree branches, right? You know, I pick up tree branches. Another 30 bucks. You know, I'll do that while I'm here. And you can keep adding on. I love that business because, and then, oh yeah, twice a year, I'm gonna clean your gutters. All right. When it snows, we do have a snowplow service to shoot me an email. And then I'd be like, great, do my house, my warehouse, and my retail store, right? And so this one interaction of mowing a lawn every 2 weeks is now billing out at, yeah, it's every 2 weeks, plus this add-on, plus that add-on, plus these 2 things are gonna happen each year, plus, oh, an extra junk run. Oh, yeah, I saw you got a new refrigerator. Someone taking that away for you? I could do that. And once you do it once, you become the call, right? You become the, hey, I gotta get rid of that. Hey, call Tom. Tom's Lawn Care. He'll do that. Oh, he's already coming. Just give him a heads up. He's coming next Thursday. And then you mow my lawn. You load up that refrigerator. I paid you 50 bucks. You go recycle it for 35. You make 15 more, like whatever works out. That's why I'm always, you know, my go-to business for people is like just mow a lawn, because it's the catalyst for all those other things that people don't know about yet. Because that lawn mowing thing is kind of that kid thing of like, yeah, I could have a kid mow the lawn, but then, you know, oh, I could have the kid rake the grass, I could have the kid pick up the branches, and that could be a really profitable business for people when you're just a trustful or trustworthy, reliable person. So I really love that business model, and extrapolate it to anything else, right? You know, it could be, you know, I can find so many ways, like, oh, we take the moss off roof, we pressure wash. What else do you do? There's so many things you could be doing. All right. Well, I've been looking forward to this one. I read all these in my, you know, if I got a few minutes. So Nicole, who is in the chat or was in the chat, the husband and I run a dog training business. In the past, we have always maintained just being sole proprietors, but when we moved and started our current business 2 years ago, we decided we wanted to give it an all and hired a very good marketing guy, which has allowed us to grow to 3 employees in less than 2 years. I'd love insights on team management. My husband is much more rigid, where I'd like us to all be a family. We're trying to find a balance. Anyway, I could ramble on about building a 7-figure business with a team is providing daunting, both finding quality employees and then creating balanced expectations and attitudes. There's a lot there. So one, congratulations on having what seems to be a thriving business. It's employing at least 2 people. That's good. And by that, I mean you and your husband and some employees. I would very much make sure that, like, I'm a very good marketing guy, right? I could make it so that you have 1,000 times more jobs, but are they exponentially more profitable? One thing people forget that is like, if I sell one of these, this will be the least profitable one I ever sell. It took me, $1,000 to develop. We spent how much on samples, learning to ship it correctly, all of that. The first one is the worst profit. By the time I'm shipping 10,000 of these, I should be making the most money. We figured out the exact way. We got back our R&D costs, all of that. And so that's what I do worry about when someone goes, oh man, we got three times as many, dogs to train now. But are you at least 3 times more profitable? You should be 3 to 4 to 5 times more profitable. If you're not, that's where I worry about. You're paying to get there, because what I know is every employee you bring on becomes another liability. And employees are amazing. So don't think that it's like, oh, Corey doesn't like employees. No. But you end up just having more, there's going to be more accidents, right? Like a dog could bite someone, whatever. You can have more people call out sick, right? You and your husband may never call out sick, but like at 30 employees, basically every day someone calls out sick. There's a hole somewhere every day because there's just 30 people, right? You run into health insurance. You run into, different. Okay, let me try it back up. So you and your husband, you might have one account and you do your taxes. Now you got 3, 4, 5, 6 employees. Now you got to run a payroll system, right? You got to have maybe an in-house bookkeeper to make sure that's going okay. Oh, this person needs this much taken out of retirement. This person has their wages being garnished. This person's got something going on. So you end up running all of that. And so now you're doing more administrative work, or you're paying someone to do administrative work. Meanwhile, you've scaled out 3x, but you're paying to scale out 3x. So you might look at it and go, with your husband and you, at the end of the year, maybe you made $100,000 profit. Now you're touching 3 times as many dogs, right? But at the end of the year, you're only at $110,000 profit. It is $10,000 more. That's a 10% increase in profit. But how much is your liability of like, well, we do have a bunch of employees. If one was to get bitten, did we end up paying more insurance? And are you doing the right things, by the way? It's so often be like, we're just doing our thing. I didn't even realize that we don't have enough insurance for this many employees right now. And that, oh yeah, make sure all the facilities are done and all of that. So that's one aspect of it. What I also found is, for me personally, I'm very much the big happy family. I want everybody to get along. I want to pay you a lot of money. I want you to have a good time. I want you to be able to work hard. I want you to stay here forever. I am in that camp. I'm also in that I don't give enough praise and all of that. And I always give people second chances and that type of stuff. What happens is, so at 3 employees, right? So you've got like 1 employee for you, 1 for your husband, and like 1 other one, right? That's easily manageable, and you stay in tune with their needs. And so like my wife and I, we have 3 dogs. We're very in tune with what's going on with our dogs. But the minute we go to 10 dogs, 30 dogs, right? Now, I don't know, did that one eat? Did this one do this? Did this one do this? Is that one having potty problems? Is this one sick? And so as you keep scaling up, the management becomes harder and harder, and it's very difficult to hire people that will care as much as you, right? People on average care to how much they're paid or how much they're invested, if it's a nonprofit or something like that. All those things matter. But you're in the hardest stage right now. You're in the hardest stage of, we're profitable, we're going to become more profitable, but how do we scale? A lot of businesses lose it in the scaling part. They don't realize that while if you do it right, you should become more profitable. A lot of times they'll actually become less profitable, because with 3 employees, let's say with you and your husband, right? Let's say you can actively train in a month. I'm just going to put a number and say 60 dogs. You bring on your first employee. Now you're training 75 dogs, right? And then you bring on your second employee, you're training 85 dogs. And then you bring in your third employee and you're training 100 dogs, right? But you now have 3 employees to only get 40% more. And if you have to market to get those, that's where it really starts unraveling, I find. But you'll never be able to scale past that if you only ever stay at the 60 dogs, because you and your husband might be like, well, we're training dogs 10 hours a day. We can never get past that. And so you're in that crazy zone right now. that is going to be difficult, and you're struggling to find the right employees. That'll be the first struggle. Then the next struggle you typically run into is, how do I keep my employees happy between each other, right? Because they don't always get along. This person called out. That person showed up for training. Where are they at? I'm going to have to fill in, which means I didn't go home on time. And then when I needed a favor, they wouldn't cover for me. You run into all those logistics. So, yeah, I don't know how you create kind of the balanced expectations and attitudes. I find the more money you pay, the easier that gets, but the harder that is to make any profit. But I will say this, I would much rather have like a third employee. So it's you, your husband, and a third employee making really good money. By the way, like for the first years of my business, my employees made way more money than I did, knowing that when we finally scaled, I've got the most to gain, right? When we finally get through some of these hurdles, when those profit stages do hit, I will be the one getting it. I would much rather kind of take, and I have no idea what a dog trainer makes, but I'm going to pull basic numbers here and say, let's say a dog trainer makes $20 an hour. I don't know. I would much rather have one dog trainer making 30 or 35 that's really, really good than 2 or 3 at $15 an hour. You know, they might be more like dog walkers and that kind of stuff. I always want all my employees to have as many critical thinking skills as possible so that they will bring problems to my attention before they happen. You know, like, oh, I noticed this employee is skipping this step. And so you'd rather know that than you finding out because the employee got bit because a step was missed, right? And so I know that in my business, we develop practices and we want them followed because, no, we already did that 100 times. That leads you down a path of the dog biting you. We do it this way because we don't want to get bit. So I tell my husband, if we pay, you get more and it's a long-term investment. It can be very true. The biggest problem with wages is you can pay someone $100 an hour and they could be the hardest worker you've ever seen. You can also pay someone $100 an hour that won't be the hardest worker you've ever seen. You also have another third problem, right? So let's say you have the hardest worker ever and they're really doing well at work and they're really doing well and you're paying them $100 an hour. Well, they start making all that money. You can run into a problem where it's like, oh, now they only want to work 3 days a week or 4 days a week, or they're taking 3-day weekends and they don't need to come into work to make that money. So it's this weird, you never know what the right move is. You know, the only thing you can really know is if you pay too little where people don't make enough money, there's always problems. Couldn't repair my car, couldn't get to work, couldn't pay rent, so you got to at least be for sure above that, right? But then when you start getting above that enough, it's really hard to tell what's the right direction. Also, you can run into employees that, you know, they would have much rather had $40 an hour and lots of praise instead of the $100 an hour. At $100 an hour, they feel unappreciated because you don't spend enough time with them. And in your mind, or in my mind, $100 an hour, it's like, I'm showing a lot of appreciation. Like, that's a great wage. Like, that's insane. But they really just wanted someone to say, hey, thank you today. You did a good job today, that kind of stuff. And so you got to be careful and you got to feel out each person. That's what makes humans so complex, is that you don't know what they want. And, you know, it could be this employee doesn't want that praise. They don't want that $100. Like, everyone will take money, by the way. But what is it motivates them? Oh, what motivates them is they need every Wednesday morning off for ballet practice with their daughter. That's what motivates them. And so it gets really hard to pull all that off. And especially as you get more employees, well, why does that guy get Wednesdays off for his daughter's ballet and you won't do that for me? It's like, well, you're not as good. You make more money. This is going on. You asked for this concession over here. And so you get into these weird, like, you're painted into a corner of, I can't make all of these people happy. And part of it is most employees don't know what makes them happy. If you ask anyone, you go, hey, will you be happier if I pay you more money? They always say yes, right? But are they more happy? You know, you could pay me $1 million a day. I'll still be just as stressed. Will I be more happy? Probably not. The reality is probably won't be happy, but your average employee, well, human really, is not self-aware enough to know oh, you know what? If I had breakfast made for me every time I showed up, then I would actually be happy. Or if home life was better, I'd be happy. Or if this thing was better, I would be happy. And so, as you scale out, you become a lot more reliant on what can I do to make this employee happy. And that's how we end up with, people we buy shoes for people once a year. We provide clothing. We have free beverages in all of the stores or all of the locations for them to drink. We pay 100% of healthcare. We have retirement. We have fringe benefits. Every employee basically gets $100 that they can spend on Uber Eats or an oil change or whatever they want. We're trying to address better work-life balance and showing that we really care. And hopefully the response is we care about the business as well. And we, hopefully will continue that. And as we get bigger, it becomes more and more of a struggle because I can't, go, hey, you're really doing well today. Good job. Because there's multiple buildings. I might not have been in that building for months. So yeah, I think it's definitely a hard thing to navigate. And I always ask myself, like, can I give my employees more? Could I do something else? Is this a good thing? Do most people need this? Should I try to implement this? And I do what I can. So it can be a struggle. All right, moving on. Let's see if I missed any questions. Oh, okay. Yes, that's exactly what we experienced with our one guy. We paid him more, and he wants, and he was content to cut back. Like he had a magical number, and he didn't, need more, so he stopped working as much. We've had that happen too, where you've got someone who work overtime and do stuff because they need the money, and then you give them more as a reward system, right? Like you're doing really good. Like you need more money. Like you are really doing good. And then it's like, oh, I only needed to make this amount of money. Now I'm pulling back. And then the worst part is if you take the money away, not that I ever have, but if you were to take the money away, right, I would think they're going to be like, oh, well, now I'm being punished. I'm not going to work hard at all. So you hit this really weird, thing. And that's where every corporation struggles. I was reading studies on this actually this last week. There's a lot of federal studies being done at state level and that kind of stuff. And basically the thought is businesses are afraid to give too much money to an employee because employees that get money taken away quit, right? So if we talk through that, let's say you knew the position in front of you, the salary range was between $30 and $40. Let's just say you knew that. It basically is more advantageous currently to go, we're going to pay you $30, and then in a year, we're going to pay you $31, and then $32, and then $33, like each year, than it is to go, we're going to give you $40 today. But if COVID hits us next year, if there's an administration change, if there's anything that happens, profits are down, we're going to have to ask you to only work for $30 for 6 months or a year until it gets better, right? And what happens is, part of it is the person making $40 an hour builds their life around $40 an hour, right? They buy a house, they got a car, they got commitments, and then all of a sudden, I can only pay you 30, I'm sorry, right? So then they have to quit and find a new job. Conversely, if you take them at 30, 31, 32, and then you're like 4 years in, and then like, oh no, profits are gone, something's happened. You don't pay them any less money, right? But their commitments are only up to that 34. And so that's what I've been researching into is like, it's a hard place to be in because if you pay them more, usually obligations become more. It's not always. Like some people just take all that money and put it into savings and then they are able to do it. Like that's not everybody, but on big groups of people, that's the way it worked out. And the studies were actually to check at the end of it, people still had the mentality of like, well, but what have you done for me lately? Like, I get it. Year one, you paid me 40. Here we are, year 5. I haven't got a raise in 5 years. It's like, well, but we gave you all of the raise at the beginning. Yeah, but I haven't had a raise in 5 years because their friends are getting raises. People they know are getting raises. So it makes it, we're in this weird conundrum of like, got to break the mold. So I've been looking into that of how can I do that? So there you go. Do I like a show called The Prophet? I use philosophy, people, success, product, or process product. I've never watched it. It's I probably would enjoy the show. Like last night at my grandma's house, I watched like, I don't know, 40 minutes of Shark Tank because I was talking with grandma. But the reality is the average day I don't have any time to watch that kind of stuff. I don't even have cable, right? So that's yeah. And part of it, I do feel like if you're in business and you're spending time watching that, my brain goes, but you could just read a book about business or work on your business. And like, I do enjoy it. And I do have a problem of not doing enough things that I enjoy to decompress or whatever. But inherently, I'm kind of against like watching Gary Vee and doing this stuff. It's like, I should just work. That's the thing. All right. Is this a situation with a fixed annual salary or simply hourly wages? Does a fixed annual salary change anything? Not usually. I found that usually if you pay someone a salary, they'll work pretty hard for your company, but it comes with a lot of money and the expectations are there. It doesn't always work out that way, by the way. But I've seen it happen both in hourly and salary positions for that kind of that complex. And I really wish it would work better out that way, where if you could have a true dialogue and go, look, times are good, I'm gonna give you more money. When times are bad, you gotta do this, you gotta work even harder because we're doing bad for less money. And that's just what breaks people though. And that's I don't know how to bridge that gap. So thinking and planning to leave the corporate career in tech to start a business, working crazy hard for an employer, but thinking to trade security for opportunity. Well, the first thing I would tell you probably is like, okay, don't work so hard. And what I mean by that is like, maybe you're just working 40 hours and work really hard, in which case do that. But if you're putting in 60 hours, right, and you're working on extra special projects, try to dial it back, and that'll free you up to have another 40 hours to run a business. And, you don't have to run a giant business from day one. You could go, well, I'm going to run a $5 Facebook ad. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to do that. And you could start learning and implementing and developing a product or whatever your thing's going to be. I'm going to mow 2 lawns a week, whatever you're going to do. And then eventually it's going to build up to a point where like, I don't have enough time. And then you can make the choice of, would I like to jump away from the corporate world into my own private sector? Rarely do I find that you couldn't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish in business because you had a job, right? Usually it's not that way. To get started at least, build business plans, start putting financing together, start doing all the things that you need to do. Which, like this next thing is like where to start and how to get a business license. How do I trademark a logo? And how important is it to do these things when starting a small business? Like learning all of that is easily done while working for someone else. So, but yes, as far as getting a business license, each state's going to be different. I don't exactly know how to do it, but usually it's fill out a form, give them an amount of money, and you'll have a 1-year license. Trademarking a logo, I myself have not trademarked any logos. That might sound crazy, but usually what you run into is if you have an established brand and someone starts using your logo, they can't do that because then they would be basically, what is it, like not plagiarizing, but like impersonating your brand. That's so same thing. I can't, regardless of if McDonald's has everything trademarked, which they do, it's still not legal for me to open up a thing right next to them that looks exactly like their colors and everything, which they did. They have trademarked their colors and all of that, right? But let's say they've got McDonald's yellow, and I do McDonald's slightly not that yellow, and instead of McDonald's, I call it McElroy's, my last name. I'm still impersonating their business, and if it is perceived like you're duping a customer, that's illegal. And so trademarking logos and stuff like that really only matters if you're doing business outside US, and there are times, but rarely do I meet people where it's like, "Whoo, good thing I got that trademark. That was super important." And so I don't think that is like, let's say you're doing $1 million a year in business and someone stole your logo. You could just change your logo and it wouldn't even matter. Most companies change their logos all the time. So figuring out how you're going to spend $300 to trademark your logo is like the worst investment of your $300 in your time. Because if someone really went after your logo and you're doing any kind of like decent size, like $1 million, you then have the funds to countersue or fight it or whatever you're going to do. But if you're a small business, it's not like you don't have the capital to be like, oh, I got to lock down the trademarks, I got to get the copyrights, all that set before you do anything. And then you just have like a bunch of paperwork you've accomplished and nothing to sell yet. Yeah, commissions I'm not sure align with company goals. So like my company goals, we do a lot of things to lose money because we want to impress customers. You add a commission base to it, right? Like I genuinely believe that working for the quarter to do profits is the wrong mentality. So like let's take this product right here, right? Let's say this quarter, like last quarter we launched it, this quarter we're going to sell 5,000 of these, right? And if my director of operations got commission, or not commission, but like let's say a percentage of profits, right, at the end of the quarter, if he buys 5,000, let's say the profits at the end of the quarter is $10,000 and he gets 20%. Let's just throw that number out there. He's going to make sure that he gets that 10,000 because then he gets $2,000. But what if my supplier said, by the way, if you buy 15,000 units, we'll drop the price by 20%. He is now not inclined to save the business 20% because what happens is the business saves 20%, spends more money, and he doesn't get his $2,000, right? And that's what changes a lot of dynamic. That's why you see horrible, you read about it in the papers, like, why would they make that horrible decision for this company? Oh, they made $3 million that quarter, and then they got fired the next quarter, but they made $3 million. The person made $3 million. The company lost out. The customers lost out. So it's not that I'm totally against profit sharing or anything like that. It needs to be in a sustainable form where, like I'm the ultimate profit sharer at this point. I could choose to make horrible decisions that make us money at the expense of all my employees, but as the captain of the ship, I'm choosing not to do that, and people trust me to not do that. The more people that could do that makes it even harder. Well, now I got to trust a fleet of people instead of one person at the top. And I do believe my employees, for the most part, would think in line with the way I do and things like that, but you never know. All right. I was a very successful salesperson, but the job burnt me out so badly that I switched careers. I will never, ever go back because of the abuse I endured. That sounds like a bad, a bad situation to be in. And the other, the problem is for every great salesperson, there's 5 mediocre and then 7 bad ones, right? So compensation works really well for the people, like compensation's based on those like mediocre people, keep them around. Then you got the one stellar person that makes a bunch of money. And then you got 7 people who are constantly turning and because they're not making enough, right? So that's kind of one of those problems of like there's no one solution fits all. Every business is different. Reward structure is different. It's really difficult. What is smoky? Do I ever watch What the Hales on YouTube? Unemployed System? No. I watch like 0 YouTube. Like on average, my YouTube watch time is less than 2 hours a week, which you would think that seems crazy, but it would be like asking Nicole, like, how many hours do you go and groom dogs for fun? Oh, none? Because you do it all day long? Yeah, that's like one of my jobs is YouTube. And I'm not saying that I don't watch anything. Like I watched, like a Elon Musk interview, some every once in a while I'll have those few, like it's usually while I'm eating. Like if I'm physically eating and I've already run through analytics and stuff, or sometimes my brain is done. where I can just feel like, okay, I need to like look away from numbers or my eyes are hurting, which by the way, I have a new monitor. I can go back here. I have a new monitor I haven't set up yet, but this monitor right here, it's actually a monitor that will filter out the blue light because the eye fatigue is brutal with these 3 monitors. And then like right now I've got all these extra lights, so sometimes it's like I almost have to rest and listen to something, and I can't really listen to my store analytics or anything, so I could listen to like Elon Musk and it sounds weird that I listen to Elon Musk. Replace it with any other interview, like I watched the interview between like Steve-O and Bam Margera, like how he ruined his life basically and had tons of money before Jackass and all that. So I try to usually work into some kind of business thing, but yeah. All right. With my partners, I own a company that creates SaaS applications for legal, medical, and recreational cannabis. The fish keeping industry has been around a little longer than the cannabis industry. I wonder if Corey has any insights into building business in an emerging market. So SaaS, people might not know what SaaS stands for. So it's, what is it? Software as a solution? Yeah. Software as a service. So that would be things like eBay, right? Software as a service. Or that's not going to make sense to people. That's not going to make sense either. But okay, here we go. If you go to to a restaurant and you're going through the drive-through, the software that people are using to ring up your order, that would be software kind of as a service. That'd be one kind of thing there, or a bunch of analytical things. Like if you were to tie in drive-through customers with people using the app with coupons, and you needed a way to blend all that data together to learn about them, the thing that would bridge those together would be a SaaS application. So, but it also could be, you need a way to verify someone's medical marijuana card, right? That would be another way to do something like that. But basically, it's creating software that will provide a service that you can then rent or sell out to a company to use that helps them fulfill their main objective, if that makes sense. So, yeah, Office 365 is a SaaS, which, Office as in like Microsoft Office, right? So that helps me maybe type up a report. That'll do it. Very, very, lots of things for that. So anyway, any insights into building a business in an emerging market? Well, part of it is, if there was any time to be an influencer, it would be in the cannabis industry. So cannabis, vaping, all of that is considered illegal on Facebook, AdWords, and I think it's just by the government. Like, you're not allowed to advertise through Facebook and Google Ads and that kind of stuff. So you'd really need to focus on like blog articles, influencer type content. And the hardest part about that is going to be who are the influencers for those companies, because you're a solution for that, right? And so you might find that you're actually doing a lot of marketing, passive marketing on LinkedIn, right? So you're writing articles about how the medical marijuana industry or recreational cannabis, like you would target different individuals, pay to get your posts saw by them, try to make yourself a leader, do public speaking, those types of things is how I would try to emerge in a market like that where you're so limited and you can't win by paying, right? So you can't have like a cigarette company come in and spend $5 billion and win that market. Instead, you're going to have to find alternative marketing methods. All right. Anyone else having trouble selling fish as an owner? None of the local stores in my area will take guppies even for credit. Maybe it's because of the pandemic. As an owner? Selling fish as an owner. I'm guessing you mean to an owner. Yeah, I mean, it all depends. Some stores might be struggling. Some might, I always question, or not question. What do I want to say here? something's wrong if, like, if I buy these from a manufacturer and I sell them, and you come up to me and there's a, you want to sell me yours. If I'm not buying yours, something's wrong. And what I mean by that is your price wrong? Do I think you can't make enough? Do I not like you? Something there, like some vibe is wrong. Do you take credit card? Do you take, like, I mean, we don't pay for this credit card, but, there's something wrong there, like delivery day is wrong. Because on a very basic level with business, right? If you have it so that you sell product and you buy product and someone comes in and sells you the exact same product for less, there's zero reason to not utilize that outside of another factor, right? And usually we can't see the other factors. That's the problem. We don't see that, I didn't realize that if I spend $1 million with that company, they give this kickback, or they won't sell me, like, let's say I'm buying this, right? And you do this, and you're 5 cents cheaper, but they also make this, and they won't make this for me unless I buy this. There could be some other things going on. And so, in a fish industry, what I see happen a lot of times is small mom and pop stores, their minimum order is $300. They got to order some guppies. They're, with the pandemic, might be hard up. They have to pay for it with a credit card, so you better take a credit card. And then if they buy $50 worth of guppies from you, now they got to buy $50 worth of something else from the other supplier because their minimum order is $300, right? So it could be even just that simple. I know way too many store owners that they have to pay $500 down on the credit card to place the next order for fish, and then it maxes it out again. It's a brutal cycle to be stuck in. Not good. If I wanted a fish shop of my own, but not sure it will succeed, especially in today's market, it would have to be something for the ages. Yeah, that's it's hard to say. I think there's always going to be room for retail of anything, pretty much, but as time goes on, your retail experience needs to evolve and get better. If anything could prove that, it would be movies, right? The movie theater. We've had the capability to watch a movie at home, and it could have arguably be even better at home than at a movie theater, and they've always lasted till COVID, right? But that's an example that pretty much everything can survive retail if you work at it and you figure out what are the best parts of it, what are the worst parts of it, and realize you don't have to cater to everyone, right? So, like with movies, let's say in the 80s and 90s, widespread age demographic is from 5 years old to 100, right? But I would say in the late 2010s, I guess, I don't know, like let's say 2015 to 2020, primarily it became releases of movies like at midnight and people who couldn't watch videos at home. So what does that mean? That means like go out on a date, two teenagers go out on a date, get away from parents. That became a mode of a get together. Not so much like the video's there, sure, the movie's there, but that's not the catalyst of why people are going. Just like I know my fish store, for X amount of demographic, it's date night. You go out to eat, you shop for fish, you go home, you put the fish away. That is a whole different demographic than somebody who's a fish breeder, right? But you got to know these things and know, are we phasing this one out? Okay, we got to start phasing this one in. We got to cater to this one more. And every business kind of has that. And you see it even in fast food. Like, okay, we got salads. We got more healthy options. We got this. And, now we're to influencers. What's your influencer's favorite meal? Yeah, we're going to do that now, right? So you got to adapt with the times. And I think it's all doable. But how hard is it? When's the right time to enter the market? That depends on personal lives, I think. Are there any sectors that I don't think are coming back after COVID? I don't know if I've thought of it enough to have an intelligent answer. I'm sure there will be some things that will never come back. I don't know what they will be. And I think it will be because it will have forced us as humans to have adapted. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, if we go too much longer without going to the movies, we may never go back. Now, and I say it's not that never, but like if a movie theater was in every city, maybe it won't be anymore. But conversely, we're seeing drive-in theaters come back with a vengeance, right? So we're getting some resurgence. And so you might see that, why don't they pivot? Why don't they become a drive-in instead of that? I think what we're going to see, though, is a lot less 15-screen theaters with a billion showings of every movie. Instead, it's going to be much more narrow. And because I don't think it's so much about the movie as it is so much about the experience. And, imagine, I always think it's kind of, which way you look at it, right? So let's say going to the movies and you buy popcorn, you buy all this kind of crap, right? And it's $50, right? And so $50, there it is. Then you have like Cinnabar, where it's going to be $50, right? Except you got a chicken sandwich and a soda, and someone else bought a beer and all that, right? And you watched a movie. What may emerge out of all of this, people are jonesing to go out to eat, right? But maybe what it is it becomes, okay, if movie theaters die out, how do we have, what if the winning business is now an Applebee's that has like, oh yeah, that part, they're all watching Despicable Me, right? And then over here, yeah, everyone's watching Shawshank Redemption or whatever. Like, you basically know, like, yeah, a movie's gonna start at 5. Everyone sits down. We have maximum staff. We have the people ready to cook, and you stagger it. Like, imagine a restaurant, right? And when you walk in, instead of asking, do you want bar, do you want a booth, or do you want a table? Instead, you walk in and they go, do you want Despicable Me? Which is we're already 30 minutes into that. Oh, you're just gonna be here for an hour with your kids? Yeah, okay, over there. We have in 30 minutes, 007 is starting, and then in an hour and a half, we actually have I don't know, I think it's some other movie like The Notebook, right? So it's more of like, I don't know if it's a date night movie, but that would all be published on the app and on their website, and you would choose when you're gonna go in to have your dinner experience based on the movie you're gonna watch, and they wouldn't have to be super new movies. It could be older recurring movies. You would have your cooks going, you would have your staff going, and so like the initial rush, maybe you have 10 waiters and waitresses taking orders, getting the cooks going, all that. They're doing drinks. But then after the initial food deployment, then you only need 3 to do drinks. The other 7 join the other 3. They handle the next movie. And you run these shifts basically, and that could be the new winning model for movies, even though it's completely different. But at the same time, we've always sold concessions. Then we also had this whole like sit down kind of thing, and maybe the next evolution is, entertainment. The cruise industry is on the verge of collapse. It's probably true, but that doesn't mean it won't come back with a vengeance. That's part of it, same with airlines. And, it's kind of like, if you love a food and you're neglected, you tend to binge when you can get it again. We could see the same thing. Now, how long can they hold out? I don't know. What I do think will happen is I think you might watch Princess Cruises go out of business, but then Corey's, Cruises opens up and people are still going to travel, right? I think bloated models will be checked for sure, so someone who's on top of the world, wasn't having problems, now has problems. It's going to change, and maybe they got so big and they collapsed, but someone's going to fill the void. If people want to go on a cruise, someone's going to take people on a cruise. If no one wants to go on a cruise, sure, but I don't think COVID has changed that no one will ever want to go on a cruise. In fact, I think more people will want to go on a cruise. It's who will be able to afford it. Like, at the end of the day, right, if this is our cruise ship right here, and Princess Cruises or Carnival Cruises or whatever goes out of business, right? Someone's got to buy that boat. Corey comes along and he goes, I'll buy that boat, and now I'll run cruises. So the industry is going to collapse, but then it's going to rebuild if people still want to go on a cruise. That's the thing about business. It's when you make a change where people don't do it anymore. Like, I'm trying to think of something that will leave and not come back, because like drive-thrus for me were super convenient before the pandemic. Now, ordering on an app and then grabbing it super easy is what I want. The ultimate for me, if I owned a restaurant right now, I would be doing what Sonic does, or I would be doing, here is a drive-through line that is only for app purchases. Like if you get in that line before the app says get in the drive-through line, like you lose your food or something. But that's the evolution of like, I don't want to sit in a line and try to relay like, what do you want? I said I wanted a fish sandwich with no lettuce. And they're like, turkey salad? No. Fish sandwich, no lettuce. Right? And then the combo. I said the combo, like I did say the combo or whatever, right? But with the app, you can just go, oh yeah, no lettuce. Yep, we're going to make that the combo. Here's what the price is going to be. Great. Make that for me, please. And I think some of that is there's going to be people that adopt technology that will never not adopt it anymore. I had that experience at Jack in the Box. What? All right. I'm going to keep reading comments. Love to start a business out of my home. The problem I face is that I can do a lot of those type of things, mostly building and crafting. However, the genre between items is so diverse, it's difficult to choose which genre dedicate a business towards. So I think a lot of people struggle with what is my legacy going to be? Like, what's my business going to do? But the reality is, like, if you could sell one product, like let's say you're just these Crystal Light, right? Let's say you could launch Crystal Light and you only made 20 grand a year off of it. You don't have the problem where it's like all you can do is only Crystal Light. You could do this and Snickers bars, right? And you're like, oh, between the two businesses, I make 50 grand. Between the 5 businesses. And that's what I do, right? So between my business, I have YouTube, right? I have a retail store and I have an online business. I have 3 businesses. So when the pandemic hits, retail store's down. I have 2 more businesses left, right? If YouTube goes away tomorrow, I got 2 businesses left. So diversifying, you're actually in a better position if you're like, I sell corn dog sticks, Princess Cruise rehab boats, and lip balm. That's what I do. You're in a way better position, than being all wrapped up in one. So I would just go, what is the easiest thing you can take to market? Can you make that? And great, you're selling it at craft fairs and now you're starting to sell some online and you learn how to use Facebook ads. Great, when you launch your corn dog stick business, you already got ads figured out. Good to go. All right, what do we got here? Oof, there's a lot. Also. Things that you do will help you save money on taxes. Nothing saves money on taxes. I mean, you can max out retirements, but once you pretty much get past that, there's not a lot to do. Capital gains is how big corporations get around it. Acquiring other businesses is another way. But the average person doing, $1 million or something, there's not a whole lot of ways to actually get around taxes. You could reclassify, you could be a corporate, like a C Corp instead of an S Corp, that kind of stuff. You can play with that a little bit, but the reality is there's not really a good way to save a bunch of money on taxes. And, a lot of people say like, well, just buy more stuff you need. Eventually you run out. You're like that monitor that I have, right? Is $1,000 monitor. It's causing eye strain. Like I'm going to use it every day, lots. But that will lower my taxes a little bit because it will be a business expense. But at scale of a business, $1,000 doesn't go very far. This is also one of the reasons why people will spend a bunch of money on ads and stuff, so that, well, if it's going to get taxed this much anyway, I may as well spend it doing this. But it kind of leads into just more customers and more profits, and so unless you're a big enough company where you're like, I'm gonna buy some futuristic technology that runs at a loss, I haven't found very many ways to save taxes at all. And as we discussed earlier, I have like the trifecta, and I ask everyone, and I have not found a way that makes sense. There's ways to waste money, but that's just wasting money. But ways to actually make sense, and I do want, I do want to pay my fair share of taxes. Like, I have no problem with that. So, ways to reuse waste to save money, like reusing water, boxes, packing material, using electricity. Yeah, those are all very minor things, though. The bigger thing to think about is, like, if you read some studies in warehouses, for instance, everyone used to use very energy-hungry T12 bulbs, right? And you got warehouses they might run 500 light bulbs. So then the whole industry kind of moved towards motion-censored lights, saved a ton of money on electricity, right? But all the companies spent more money than they saved because of accidents, forklifts running into things, lights going out. Oh, the box fell on me and hit me in the eye because I couldn't see this going. Oh, the light shut off. Have you ever been in like a public restroom or something, like when you're camping and you're sitting there and and then you're waving, you're like, come on, turn back on. I cannot see where the toilet paper is or whatever, right? And then you got to walk over. Oh, I got to turn on, right? You're doing that in business now. So you don't always get more gains. And that's part of the problem, I would say, with reusing. So we used to reuse packing materials all the time. Part of the problem was they wouldn't be the same. So you'd be like, okay, well, what am I going to use? I'll use this, this, and this. We send it. Oh, no, it got damaged. Okay, got to reship it. Now we're using even more, right? This customer complained about this. Oh, this packing material, this was going on. We also were getting bad feedback. How dare you? How dare you not use recyclable material? The reality is we were reusing it from something we had gotten. So we were recycling it. But the fact that we would send it to a customer, they think we don't care about the environment. And even when you tell them that, they go, you're just saying that. It's like, no, we legit. And so there's always consequences to the savings, and you should be mindful and find ways that are meaningful to your business and aren't detrimental, but there's no one size fits all. Yes, like I use in my fish room, for example, I have the lights come on automatically and turn off automatically. If I ever forget, I'd be losing money, right? But I don't have motion sensors like, oh, if the fish aren't moving, then they're not getting light. Like, you can push things too far. Logo branded items, what's worth it, what's not? I think if you have a brand, which most businesses don't, it's worth branding things. Most businesses don't have a brand, though. Like, for instance, this Mammoth headwear, it doesn't need the logo. Like, I actually think this brand is stronger if it's not Mammoth headwear. Instead, it's just big hats that have good-looking logos on it. Like, he's got 2 hats. Just keep making good-looking hats. The Mammoth brand, as far as I'm concerned, bigdumbheads.com is a more memorable thing. And you're like, oh, sweet. Yeah, I got a big dumb head. They got all kinds of hats to choose from. That's a better thing than putting like, oh, we always got to make sure, like, there's got to be, I know there's got to be stuff, like we make shirts and stuff that don't have our logo on them and things like that. Like, what am I'm trying, there's got to be other stuff. I just don't know. I don't have anything in front of me that doesn't have it. Because we're a brand, which I could do a whole stream on what a brand is, right? But we gain, like, it's part of the marketing and the sales of it, of like, okay, they put their brand name on it. We know they're going to stand behind it instead of just this random no-name product. But for most people, if they don't get a big enough brand going, like we branded Easy Green early on, but a lot of stuff, it's like, it's not worth branding it. You sell anyone. As long as they buy it and it's a good product, doesn't matter. I know you've talked about this before. What do you find the most beneficial in giving people free stuff? Stickers, reusable bags, thank you cards, samples, punch cards, coupons. Well, coupons and punch cards are the best way to not make money. That's where you find people who abandon your checkout to go find a coupon that doesn't exist. They're also, just a pain in the butt to manage, like rewards programs, all of that. Most people don't look at So take this example here. So we already established this guy's only making like $6. Well, imagine he's got a 5% rewards like most companies do, right? 5% of $50 is $2.50. Now, this guy is only making like $4, $3.50, $4. Not everyone's going to activate it, right? Like not everyone's going to buy another hat and use the rewards, but X amount of people will. Then you have the whole headache you don't even know about yet of like, oh, people are emailing. I ordered under a different account, and this time I ordered on a different account. Can you combine these so I can order another one? Oh, and by the way, can you use those rewards and apply them to my previous order and refund my money? So now you've spent $4 in customer service time trying to straighten out this mess, and you're actually losing money. That happens so often of like, I'll try to find another brand sometime that I know is running Facebook ads, and then run you through the gamut of like, oh, so they paid for this, then they did this, then they're giving this off. Oh, the welcome email says this, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and they're just not making money. So the things I do think are worthwhile though. So if you can establish a social media presence, and you know that your average competitor might be spending $5 to get a customer or $8 or whatever, right? Maybe you can include, like we include stickers, we include heat packs and liners for free. We include other little giveaways sometimes, but what we try to do and mostly do is we don't tell people like, if you buy this, we'll give you this. That sets up the wrong expectation, right? Because then, and when they come back and they're like, I'm ready to buy, what do I get? I don't get anything? Well, I'm not buying then. Instead, we like to give them something they didn't know they were getting, Like if you've ever been to a restaurant and you order their food and at the end they're like, hey, you know what? We're getting ready to close up, and we got a lot of cheesecake left. You guys want a slice of cheesecake? You guys are super duper excited to get that free cheesecake. But instead, if I go like, hey, if you spend $50, I'll give you a slice of cheesecake. When you get that cheesecake, you're just like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. But you're not stoked because you're like, oh, I paid for it. But if you truly get it for free, right, then it's a much more special. And this day and age, like all these free things, the most important free thing you have here isn't even listed, that's shipping. If you have extra money, make free shipping easier. That's like, I want to know, does this guy have free shipping? How do I know? All right, wow. Let me put in I'm gonna put in my store zip code. We'll see if it's free shipping. All I gotta say is it better be free shipping. All right, we're lucky. It is free shipping. This is, oh man. I want to do a whole thing on this guy's business because he's got like the default. Oh, it said right up top, but he doesn't have any. His colors are all off. I didn't even notice, right? But he's got like a default Shopify template, and it's so default that his upsells don't do anything. So he's probably paying $1 billion for Facebook ads because you get here and you're just like, am I getting scammed right now? Yeah. What was, like, what else? I think I went to his Instagram. Will it pop up? Yeah, and he's got 9 posts and 70 followers. Like, there's a whole thing to say, like, when it's time to start advertising, and now's not it. It would be like, it'd be like spending $500,000 to get everyone to come to your restaurant that opens in a month and a half from now. You'd get there and be like, it's not even built? Like, what is going on here? Like, no, this is a waste of my time. I'm angry now. So, I mean, I love the logo, though. I am in love with that logo. I just will never pay, I shouldn't say never. Really unlikely I'd ever pay $50 for a hat. But I think, and then someone in the Facebook comments did say like, well, if you don't check out, then you get a coupon for, 20% off. It's like, oh my gosh, classic traps. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I rarely shop anywhere I don't get free shipping anymore. Yeah, that's one of those classic things that people don't realize is free shipping doesn't exist. And what I mean by that is, yeah, you're going to get free shipping from me, but you're paying for it. It's the white lie of all of online e-commerce. Like, On average, it costs $10.84. Well, I could see, but $10 in some for let me see if I can see here for shipping, and that has to get passed along somewhere. It just, Amazon does it, everyone does it. It doesn't happen for free, and it goes up every year. And so, the consumer basically goes, and I've run plenty of tests, by the way. I could sell you this item right here, and right now we sell it for 20, right? I could make it $10 with $5 shipping. No one will buy it. At $20 though, everyone buys it. So it's this weird thing of like, people, I would just straight up never pay for shipping. And even if it's a better deal, people won't do it. So you have to build it into products, it's kind of funny because in all of our minds, we won't pay for shipping. And yet we pay for shipping. That's just how it works. We just don't realize that, even if it's a better deal, that's the thing. Even if it's a better deal. And the reason I was saying this guy better not charge for shipping, because I know that that's a kill. It kills it. It kills it. If you don't find a way to get people to get free shipping. Let me look at my insights here. Oh, my shipping costs went up. Let me see if I can bring this over for you guys. Is there anything too crazy here? Nah, all right. Let's be all right. Let me bring it over. Yeah. So our shipping right now is $11.06 on average per shipment. And we've shipped 6,221 of them, right? And it changes. Average cost to ship in the state we're in is only $7.89, right? And then average cost to like Pennsylvania is $13.76. Right, and Florida is $12.84, and so depending on where in the country, but yeah, it's brutal, and you just have to build it in. It's exactly like, I won't buy unless I can use a credit card. Like, you're paying for it. It's all in part of the business, and no one likes to talk about that and think about that, but that's just the way it works, But it's reverse psychology, and you can write. I find it fascinating to read the studies. You can sell a product for $10, right? And you can give someone 50% off, right? Or you can give them $8 off. Usually they'll choose 50% off, right? Like, they'll do illogical things because of the way numbers play out. And that one's a little bit easy of an example. But let's say it's $22.98 is the product, and you'll give them 35% off, right? Or I'll give you $11 off. Most people, 35%, that's a bigger number. I'll take that. And they've run these studies, and people all the time will choose the bigger number, even if it's less savings. And it's these snap judgments our minds make of like, no free shipping, not buying. Even though it has to be paid for. There's profit in there. Things are going on, but the way our brains are wired, that's the way we think. So. All right, working with other businesses to cross-promote each other. I've yet to ever have it be successful outside of live fish. Basically promoting a business that did what we didn't do. Well, it's not cross-promotion, though. They don't promote us, so it's one-way street, kind of affiliate deal. Yeah. I want a business of YouTube, but mostly make complying with state tax laws easier on my end. Yes, I've seen a lot of facets of varied business in my career thus far, and have several entrepreneurs in my family, which is part of why I love your business-oriented talks. I like seeing how various people see things from their facets of the business world. And it changes, by the way. Seeing business from before I started my business, early in my business, now in my business, I'm sure I will think I'm a fool, things were easier, whatever, in 5 years from time. Like, how could I not see that? It's like, well, you have to learn, you have to stumble, you have to have these oops moments, you have to have these epiphanies, you have to have time. So yeah, and that's the funny part is you could have 3 very successful business people all look at the same thing and they all disagree. No, that guy's a fool, it's a moron, that's not going to work at all. And I do like to say it does matter about your perspective on your business, in your market, with your ideals and all of that. Like, I mean, there are some things that seem to be universally true, like free shipping. It's kind of a universal rule, but there's so many things that aren't universal that's left open to interpretation. Just think about grocery stores. You've got very high-end ones, you've got very cheap ones, you've got like ones that sell kind of scratch and dent produce. You've got all these different answers to the same problem of I need to go buy groceries, and they're all a profitable working business, and each person had a different idea. You can have, oh, I'm just getting it online. Oh, I'm having it shipped to me. Oh, I get my meals delivered. There's a million ways to slice it. It comes down to marketing and execution and that kind of stuff. So, I was talking actually with my trainer a couple days ago, and long ago he used to work for Albertsons online ordering, and this was like 2005 or whatever. And I said, wow, they were doing that back in 2005? And essentially, I was like, how is online ordering of groceries still a train wreck when we've had 15 years to make it better? Right? Like So sometimes it's just, we're not working on it hard enough. Maybe there's no answer, but I'm surprised that there's still so many outages and problems and that stuff with that type of network, considering they've been working on it, since for 15 years. And it could have been more. I don't know when it started, but crazy. All right. More content for running an aquarium maintenance business. I think the aquarium maintenance business is very similar to like a lawn mowing business, right? You're in people's homes. You could see things. You could, if you're coming to my house every week to clean the gutter or to clean the tank, maybe you do clean gutters. Maybe you do take things to the dump. Maybe you do, so you're a pet business, right? I see you got dogs and cats. I come out every 2 weeks. You want me to clean that cat box? You want me to de-poop your yard? You want me to walk your dog? You want me to, I think a lot of people really focus on how do I get more maintenance clients for my fish? That is part of it, right? But you also need to go, what else can I offer? So if we look at my business, right? I focus on getting new customers, but then also how do we make customers repeat purchasers? How do we make them more happy, right? And in the aquarium maintenance business, a lot of times it's, how do I get a new customer? Great. They have an aquarium. I clean it every 2 weeks. I'm done. But we should really be trying to figure out, well, how do I clean their gutters? How do I start mowing their lawn? Like, I wouldn't be sad to go, oh, I show up, I mow your lawn. That's $50. I clean your aquarium, that's $100. Now I got $150 and the drive time was the same. Yeah, I got a lawnmower on the back of my vehicle, but I got both those. And then when you go to the next client, they're like, why you got a lawnmower on the back of your car? Oh, yeah, Mary, actually, my other client, Mary, I clean her fish tank every 2 weeks, but I also mow her lawn. Yeah, if you sign up for both, actually, I give you 5% off. Yeah. And then you could go, oh, by the way, I also do gutters, and we can pick up dog poop, and actually, oh, here's this list of services we do. Yeah. And if they've been happy with your fish tank cleaning, guess what? They're real likely to pull on a different service from you. How do I choose my factories in China? I'd love to have our favorite products, leashes, bait bags, clickers, made for and branded by us for offering our clients. It can be pretty involved, right? You could start with just like on Alibaba, reaching out to some vendors. There's a lot of resellers there. What I would recommend, Nicole, is taking a trip to SIPS, which is the Chinese International Pet Show. It happens every year. Last year, it was postponed and then done online, which I don't think it was worth anyone's time. But when it opens back up, go to China, and it'll cost you probably about $5,000 for you and your husband to attend, and a week, well, probably like 10 days of your time. And no joke, I wish I had the booklet, but I think legit, there were 3,000 booths that were selling dog leashes. So you could spend an entire week just analyzing dog leashes, right? And you could, so aquatics, I might show up and okay, who's making this? Okay, there's 19 people. But for a dog or cat thing, how many thousands of vendors do I have to choose from? And so from there, then you have to, figure out how to import stuff. But you basically see what they have and you go, hey, I like that. Could we tweak this? And then you find out, oh, are you manufacturing or are you reselling it? So, oh, I'd like to tweak this. Could you do it this way? And usually the answer is always like, well, of course we can do it that way. But, maybe, do I have anything where I had to change a mold? Well, like something like this, I guess. This would be, well, yeah, my sponge filter, right? So, our product here, we want it changed, but you got to pay the money to have this part made. And it might be like, oh, that mold is going to be $500. And then you have it made and you're like, oh, that's not right. And they're like, okay, the next mold's $500. And so right now at your scale, you might be going, oh, that's going to be brutal. So what you'd be looking for is basically private branding of products. And that happens a lot there too. Essentially anything you can find on Amazon that's not branded could have your brand on it. And they have minimum counts, and it might be like, oh, I got to buy 500 dog leashes. But if the dog leashes are $2, you're like, okay, $1,000 in dog leashes. And then I sell, what do dog leashes go for at like the big box stores? Like, oh, dog leashes are $14. So you're into it for $2. You sell it for $12. You undercut, and it's got your name on it. So you're making a $10 spread, but you got $1,000. So you got to sell 100 of these things before you make your money back, right? But then you got 900 of them. Then you run into like, okay, where am I going to store all this stuff? But I recommend you start with one product. What do you think is really going to be a good thing? What's something you're already buying a bunch? Are you using a ton of doggy poop bags? That's what I always did, is what am I using a ton of already? All right, let's buy that in bulk. If no one buys it from me, I've got all the poop bags I need for my doggy business. That's the way I did it. And the first product I ever did actually was shirts for the store. And it was, I'm going to make a shirt with my logo on it, and I'm going to print the most in my size so that if no one ever buys them, I got shirts that I'm going to wear at work forever. And as people started buying them, I would buy more, but I would get into it for the least amount possible. And so if you use a product, like maybe you only need 2 leashes, but if you own 4 dogs, maybe you use 8 poop bags a day. And if you had 10,000 poop bags, it's a lifetime supply, but you'd eventually use them and it wasn't lost money. Where if you have 1,000 leashes, you get into this weird point where it's like, okay, it's, trainyourdog.com leashes that went out of business. Who wants to buy them for $1 each? They could sell them at the dollar store. That's how you see all that stuff at the dollar store. It's businesses failed for a lot of it. All right. I think there's a lot of persons out there who would not be afraid to start their own, but lack of a good business idea. I'm not sure that's true. Like, I feel like you're either good at running a business or you're not. And I don't think there's a lack of ideas. Pick up anything on your desk, you could sell that. Like, that could be your business, right? It just comes down to what are you going to do that other people haven't done? Like, I've got this product right here. This little piece of metal, right? Well, I guess you can't see that. By the way, I got to end soon. I'm getting hungry. But this little piece of metal, this opens up the SIM card on your cell phone, right? You could make this thing somehow more ergonomic. You could sell it on eBay, or not eBay, but Amazon for $2. Maybe maybe you sell it as part of a package. Your business is, I'm going to combine these and micro SD cards. And maybe you go, and I'm going to need the SD card reader. So I put all of these into one package and I sell it for $12 on Amazon, and that's my business. And that's just because I picked up this little doodad. Could you use a paperclip? Yeah, probably. Could you use something else? Yeah, probably. But almost anything. So if you're really good at business, you could basically look on your desk and go, okay, I have these 10 products. What do I want to sell? Business for a lot of it is, how good are you at marketing? How good are you improving a product and identifying a need, right? So the idea is not the problem. It's like, how good are you at executing it though? Because there's plenty of people that have really good ideas and no idea how to run a business. Rarely, like if I've done all of this for Aquarium Co-op, right? If I now had to plug myself into Nicole's business, I get to bring all the knowledge of my ad work and building a brand and doing all of that. And it's like, you just apply the template. You're like, okay, cool. Like, we're already in the pet industry, so it'd be even easier. But, you know, take it to another industry and go, okay, well, what are the things I need to know about cookware? What is it that I don't know? Who's the elephant in the room? What's the biggest complaint? What's our target demographic? Let me start applying that and learning and going down that road. Whereas if you know, the idea is the easy part. Like, oh, here's what we're going to do. The execution of the business, managing personnel, back end, taxes, all that kind of stuff, logistics. That is very difficult. All right. This is one I thought was good. Really like to hear about those 50-50 calls when you have to decide without knowing and maybe risking your own business. I've only ever done that once, and that's when I started the business. I had $50,000 and I was going to build a store, and even then, I only would do it if I failed, I owed the person nothing, and I wouldn't do it any other way. Now, I didn't fail, obviously, but I never put myself in that situation, ever. Do everything you can to never put yourself in a 50-50 situation. Now, I would say at best, or at worst, I'll put myself in an 80-20. 80% chance of winning, 20% chance of failing, and I will only do that with money I don't care about. What does that mean? That means that, let's say you are profitable and you're wondering, how am I going to not pay so many taxes? It might be, like this was a great example, these brine shrimp eggs. We tested them, they were amazing, but how do you know that what shows up after coming over in a cargo container is still gonna be amazing, and how do I know that people are gonna buy them? I don't. So the first time I did this, I bought $6,000 worth. Now, that wasn't so much, but that's $6,000, and that money we could afford to lose. The problem was we had never ever done a food like this being brought into the country. We have to work with the FDA, right? The other thing was, and they could just go, nope, you didn't do it right, destroy it. Like, that's a real possibility. The other thing is we had to do refrigerated, this has to stay cold and refrigerated from China to America on a boat for 4 weeks. That's something we had never done. So we had a lot of learning process there. But that $6,000 plus about $3,000 in shipments, so like $10,000, that was a risk, but we were only risking money with profit anyway. Never put yourself, if it had been 50-50, that is too reckless to be gambling money on. Like, you may as well go to a casino or something. And so you really want to be sure that this is a product, you've done your research, you know it's already in the market, or you know there's actually a need for it, you brought over test samples. And so, by the way, when we spent $6,000, before that we spent probably $1,000 just sending over cans. What's it going to look like? What's the seal like? How are they going to do this? How do the eggs look? What about this? What about the test print? What about? And so you spend all that money before you even get to the point. So, like with those dog leashes, you're going to spend $500 to ship yourself over 10 different dog leashes, 2 of each. So you got 20 dog leashes over $500, knowing that you're going to buy 1,000 of them at $2 each once you pick the one you want. But there are products like heaters and lights. I'm probably $20,000 into ones that I'm not going to buy, you know, and it becomes very expensive when prototypes, you know, we've had some prototypes like, oh, I spent $700 on that prototype. Got it here. It's garbage. Not going to work. Not at all. Not even close to what we wanted. And now we know that company, don't use them. What's another? Do I have another good example? I don't know. I think I'm using it, but we'll also do blind tests. Like we have these aquascaping scissors, right? And we had another manufacturer that we wanted to get them made at. And so we started putting them in front of customers and employees and going, tell me which one is ours and which one would be the new one. And not a single person, myself included, could get that correctly. And so that's how we knew, oh, we can get a better price and no one can tell they're different. And in all of our tests, they look the same. We'll make that move. We save like 20 cents each or something. Well, we're just switching. And the other place, so what would happen is we will also get them with our name on them now, engraved. So that was one reason we were doing it. And then also we saved like 20 cents. So good thing. All right. Another thinking about starting one. fish, plants, crafting, hard to choose a specific focus. Plus, I'm a full-time caregiver, so carving out time requires serious dedication. So I want to be serious and do it right from the start. The best tip I have is there's no way to be serious or right from the start. You have to start failing, So think about it like you want to learn to ride a bike. First thing, start trying to ride a bike. So you can start falling off and going, oh, that's how you don't fall off finally. If you spend 10 years reading on how to ride a bike, it will get you maybe a little bit closer, but you're still going to get on and be like, whoa, and you fall. The sooner you fall and get back up and fall and get back up, and now you're like, hey, I went 10 feet and then I fell. Now I went down the block and then I fell. Pretty soon, you're a marathon, triathlon runner or biker or whatever. And, that's the thing. So let's say you're caregiving, you're 60 hours a week, you got 20 hours left. Start applying some of those hours towards making tangible steps. Like, here's the thing I would sell. Here's how I would do it. I asked my friend about it. I did this next. I did that. Oh, no one was interested in crafting. All right, I'm doing plants. Oh, that failed too. Okay, I'm going to do corn dog sticks. That's how it goes. All right. Yeah, it is going long tonight. How many more do I got? I got a lot. Look at all. I got all that still. Well, I'm still addressing it first come, first serve. So, be early to leave a comment when I leave one or when I ask you guys. I'd like to see your take on business basics, aka 101. Yeah, maybe someday we'll do something like that, but it seems like it's too involved. Like, to do it any justice would be the same as like launching products and doing what my business does. And this has to be kind of a free flowing, like, yeah, all right, it's time to, dinner time. All right, I'm gonna go do dinner time and work for the rest of the night. Trying to set up my fish room as a business. I know you're not always talking about fish, but I have been breeding cherry shrimp, red and blue shrimp. I'm doing okay with it, and I've been breeding my peacocks and haps. I'm up to 14 bigger tanks now, but I'm trying to decide to change over to more community-friendly fish to go with shrimp and plecos I breed. This is hard to read because there's no punctuation. I can decide what to do when I've been going back over the older podcasts and videos, trying to get some ideas, like when you said if you breed things that go together like shrimp and java moss. Yeah, that's just the upsells. We were talking about that all stream of you mow the lawn, do the gutters. If you're doing the gutters, clean up the dog poop. So if you're selling them a fish, sell them the food. If you're selling them the food, sell them some shrimp. If you're selling them some shrimp, sell them some shrimp-specific food. If you're, doing all that, start offering them maintenance. Like, keep adding on like products that, I can develop this product or I can sell dog leashes. Some people might buy dog leashes, but it's much more likely someone will buy something for a fish from my business than not. Same thing. You wouldn't want to do very aggressive fish and very peaceful fish. Two different customers entirely. Still can't figure out if I need. I'm gonna end it here, end the questions here, and answer a few more of these, and then we'll be good. Still can't figure out if I need to be licensed to start up my hardscape business. Yes. Most people say, as long as you're registered, it's fine. I don't believe it. Getting licensed sounds like some work. I'll say this. Most people in business are doing it wrong. I know so many businesses that just go, well, someone will tell me if I'm doing it wrong. And that's how you end up with giant bills and a lot of restless nights. And there's a lot of people. I try to be a very, very moral guy, so there are things that I know my competitors are doing, or maybe not even competitors, but people I work with, where I'm just like, I can't be involved in that. I do not think that is ethical. I think that just because you're doing it that way doesn't make it right. And I would say the same thing, like, so you need a business license, right? Bare minimum to have a hardscape business, but also, what are you gonna do if you're not, if you're not carrying the insurance? Like, eventually you got to move that rock somehow, right? And then, your suspension gave out, or it was full. You had the back of your truck filled. You got in a wreck, and all that extra momentum did more damage. What are you gonna do? You got to have the insurance to carry that. There's so many things like that people just don't do. And so my advice would be, The person that says that it's going to be a pain in the butt and you need to do this, this, and this is probably right. The people that go, just worry about it later. That's, there's a reason most businesses fail, and it's attitudes like that of like, well, did you get the right advice, Because it's only more painful as you scale, by the way. You do it wrong, do it wrong, do it wrong. We're bigger and we're bigger and we're bigger. Oh, now it's this painful to fix it? Oh, I should have done that from the beginning. Okie dokie. Slip leashes and bait bags we currently hand out with our programs. We go through dozens per month. Yeah, so that's, having your product made. You can try and find, it's a scale, right? Like, let's say you needed straws. You buy 5 billion straws, they might be 10 for a penny. If you only need 100 straws, they might be 10 cents each, right? But you might be going, but on Amazon, straws are 25 cents each. Like, I save a bunch of money. You do. So you might go the same thing. You might be like, well, I need to find a place that sells leashes, and I can buy them for $2 each, but you probably don't need your logo on it. That's the thing. You just need a good leash, right? So I would be looking for that of like, because usually you can buy like OEM with your brand on it. You can buy it with a generic brand on it, or you can buy it unbranded. You just want to buy unbranded stuff. And then at some point, if you are going to buy 1 billion of them, go ahead and have them branded. Because at a certain point, when you meet a threshold, like let's say with these straws, right? Let's say at 100, they're 10 cents. At 1,000, they're 5 cents. At 10,000, they're 2 cents. And after that, they just keep going down. Well, at 10,000, they would put the Aquarium Co-op logo on the straw for free, because they're just going to set up the mold. And they're like, we're going to run it. You got to pay for a plate fee. So the plate fee might be like, okay, you got to pay $500. And we'll now put, well, like this would be a good example, right? So if you were to order this unbranded, it would have been just the silver on the inside, which I think it would have been like the silver color, right? You could have also requested it to be green, right? But to have this plate made so that it will have the Aquarium Co-op logo might have been $500 more. Now, they would only do the plate thing if we did like 10,000 liners at a time. Now we order them like 30,000 or 50,000 at a time. But at the beginning, I was like, oh, geez. So it's an evolution. Like you by the first time, by the way, a lot of times we'll have a product made unbranded because it's cheaper. And I can go, okay, well, we'll take 1,000 of those. We'll see how they do, right? And like, oh, these are great products. They're selling okay. Great. Let's put our brand name on it, right? And so then that's what you do. Like, I don't know if I have any real examples in here. Yeah, this is about as good examples I can get you, I think. Oh, I don't think I have the actual product that we sell, but right? So this product right here, this is an Airstone. Well, we actually don't sell this exact product, but this is an Airstone, or not Airstone. It is a air valve. It says Airstone on it. Very generic packaging. It does have a brand on it. I'm blocking it just for the sake of, I don't want people to know where we get it or whatever. You could buy this. You could also buy it. We had a very similar product that's just put in plastic bags when we were selling it. And then at some point when we sold enough, then we go, okay, let's pay design work. So we had to pay probably, $1,000 to get someone to design the package after we got the specs. Then we have to pay to have these printed, right? So these don't get printed 1,000 at a time. The manufacturer goes, okay, we'll have some printed. Oh, our minimum print run is 10,000 of these. So even though I'm only going to order 1,000 from them, they have to have 10,000 printed. Though they got to store 9,000 more after they make mine, but it becomes profitable to them if I'm ordering at least 1,000, because the odds that I will order another 1,000 down the road go up a lot. If I'm just ordering 50, it doesn't make sense for them to pay to make 10,000 of these, right? And these little, they have the machine to put the plastic on. They already do that, but they're basically going, okay, we got to make different back cards. You design it. It's a front and back print. And yeah, so we actually didn't do this product, but you know, you can get samples and things like that of what it would look like if you were to design a product. You know, and that's kind of how it goes. So that makes it seem very easy, because what you won't know is like, oh, but you went through 6 vendors testing out those before you found one that you were going to work with. So that's the part that's not being shown there. It's not just like, I dialed it up and then I made money. It's like, okay, I had to try it, that failed. That's why we do a lot of, you know, so your first leashes that you want to buy, you're going to spend $500 for 10 leashes. It's going to take you, you know, it might take you a week to test out each type of leash. You got 2 of each, right? Because you don't want to get just one. What if you got one really good one or one really crappy one, it broke? You got to get a few. And so we actually develop who's going to help us test. What, you know, do they have can they put the eyes on it? Are they going to make sure it goes okay? They're going to provide feedback. What do we think? So I test them. Director of Operations tests them. A few influencers test them. A few customers test them. And if they all come back with yes, or we all come back with we got to change this part, we go and we keep moving forward. And, you know, some products will be in development for over a year, you know, and well, some actually are a couple years now, but, you know, and some will be like, wow, first try, like that's really easy. That's a great product. Let's just do that. So it's a lot of trial and error, I would say. Branding is key. That is the only marketing I've done for my screen printing embroidery business. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the marketing happen out there, but yeah, it could be. I mean, what am I trying to say? It's probably key in the way in which you run your business, but you could probably pivot your business and like just sell stuff on Amazon. It's no name brand with the right marketing would be a completely different business, but would also work. But I completely agree that branding can be very important depending on how you're running it. Like, for instance, my business, right? If I'm selling this, I could make a whole nother business where I just change this to brine shrimp eggs with a different like logo and all of that, and I could wholesale it out to every store, and I could sell them on eBay and Amazon, and that's another business. The brand is irrelevant. But because I've got the backbone and I know it works, and I'm already bringing a refrigerated cargo container in and all of that, I could do all of that. So on one hand, brand very important, and on the other hand, like, oh, you could have all these other business models that don't rely on brand at all. So it's kind of a weird thing. Like, and that's that whole like the Mammoth headwear guy, the brand doesn't help him at all, right? There's a lot of businesses where brand doesn't help you until it is. That's kind of one of those weird things. If it's not helpful until it is, in which case it's very important. All right. How often do you need to put out YouTube content to gain visibility and build a following on YouTube? I think, it depends on some things. Like there's some businesses, like let's say you do animation or something, like once a month. But the reality is, for most people, one video a week that's relatively well done is how you're going to create that following of, you know, because you try to think about it. If you think about it logically, if you're a dog training business like you are, someone just got a puppy, right? And this puppy's unruly. How long do you think they'll keep going without getting the knowledge they need? Like if you put out a video and they watch it and they're like, okay, I got him to not bite me, right? They're jonesing for the next video though to go, well, how do I make him not pee on the carpet? How do I make him not bark? How do I make him get along with the other dog? How do I make my kid know to pet them correctly, to not get them riled up? And so you kind of need like, oh, well, every Sunday I will watch, and you need to know how long would it take them to implement what you're trying to teach? How much can they consume, right? So if you were teaching, like these live streams, right? This one's going to be a long one. It's going to take hours to consume. Might take multiple days. You're like, okay, each day, 30 minutes at lunch, I'll listen to 30 minutes. It would take you all week. So if I did this every day, the content I'm putting out would become wasted on most people. They would go, I cannot keep up. In fact, I will choose not to keep up with any of it. So, but with like a dog training business, you know that they're going to want to find you, start consuming your content right away to go, how do I potty train it? How do I handle vacations? How do I handle kids? How do I handle all this? And you want to keep content coming out, because even though I made a video on how to do something 6 years ago, people don't search for it. So you got to have another video and go, hey, by the way, don't forget I did a video on how to react if your dog gets hit by a car. In case you're ever in that emergency situation, I had a whole guide on where you put the phone number, what vet hospital you want to use, how far away, how long do you have to respond to it, how much is it likely to cost you. Here's the analysis if you use pet insurance versus not using pet insurance. Here's this and that. And so if you can do it once a week, that keeps people kind of on the hook going, okay, another week I'll learn something again, another week I'll learn something again. But if it's sporadic, that's the worst thing you can do. If it's once a month, you're going to take a long time to build that content, and it becomes a job for sure. There's no doubt that producing one solid video a week is a job. Some people can go, I can do it in like a few hours. And I would tell them, you could probably do a lot better. Like, obviously, if you can do something in an hour, is it going to be the same quality you spent 100 hours on? Usually it's not. You might not get that much better, but most people can put more work in and make something better. So quality is, like, I use a whole team of people and our quality is not amazing. I'm the first to admit our quality is not amazing. Here I'm testing today, just 4K footage, one little piece. The resolution we put out is irrelevant, actually. It's mostly about, is your on-camera presence good? Is your audio good? Is your lighting okay? Like no joke, right in front of you right now is $10,000 worth of equipment. I turn off the $400 in lights, and now it's not nearly as good, right? It's usable. This is usable. Like, you could still listen, right? But it is not nearly as good just because the lighting's wrong, right? And so, and you can, it's really easy, these lights are tuned, right? Oh, my thing's not running. Can I do this? Can I change yeah, so I changed one side of it. So now, see, you can change another thing. So now this one's brighter than this one. So now I got this weird look going on and it doesn't look as good. And I can fix it now. Oh, now I can't even fix it. You see what you've done? Now I have to, oh wait, there. Just trying to get it back. Good enough for now. But yeah. All right. I'm sure my dinner is ready at this point, and it's been way too long. I was going to try to make this one like, maybe let's go for an hour, but I can't stop talking about business. I'm going to go work in business, and that's highly what I recommend you guys do. This is my, my couple hours out of the week where I don't work, and it's always a pleasure. Hopefully you guys will get some stuff done. You'll move forward in your businesses or figure something out. I've had, yeah, $10,000 equipment does sound overwhelming. It's true. That being said, this is not what you have to have. There's every creator, video creator type person makes videos about, gear doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter that much. The reality is a lot of videos will work from your phone. Like, I filmed a video today that we're going to release just from my phone. I have all the equipment. It does help. It can help you do certain things, but a good cell phone will get you really far as well. That being said, yes, you might want to use something like, the Ceramonic mic that plugs into your iPhone that is a lav mic. Like, there's always going to be ways to make it better, but don't let it be like, well, I don't have 10 grand, I'm not going to do it. Like, just know that it's you can do it. That's the thing. You can, and well, the reality is, if you're not good on camera, you got to practice a lot. If you are good on camera, no matter how good or bad the video is, people will still listen and kind of watch. You just won't get nearly the response you would if it was even better. So it's one of those, like, if you make a crappy video and 100 people watch, but you make an amazing video and 1,000 people watch, both of those are better than not making videos. So, keep that in perspective of like, okay, I'm just trying to get the last jump. That's what I'm trying to do. All right. Have a good night for most of you, and good luck out there. And I'm going to analyze the stream, and I'll put up I'll put up a pinned comment that says, something like, hey, let's talk about this. What questions you guys want to know? And then I'll try to address that at some point in the future. So have a good night.